Dr. Paul,
Hey, Flip. Good to
it's
see
been a
you.
while. Nice to see you. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Been busy the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I hear you. I can't believe October just like evaporated.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Been
went.
super busy.
So today will probably just be a small call. What we're doing
Mhm.
right now, Dr. Paul, we did hire a marketing company for the course because I haven't been focused on reaching out. So we should be experiencing large growth soon. But whoever shows up, I'm honored to have them here, and whether it's you and me or 30 other people. So.
Mhm.
But were you out traveling or were you working?
No, part of the week I was actually in San Diego 2 weeks ago, and that was for a meeting. And then last week I was on call and was just super busy.
Gotcha.
catching up.
So when you're on call, what does that mean?
That means anything that comes to the emergency room, and I need to operate, I take care of it. So anyone through the door, any emergencies, I take care of. That's it.
So you don't know when they're like, are you in the hospital or are you at home with the family?
No, I'm here from 7 to 5 p.m.
Okay.
And then I'm back up from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. If they need an extra help. But there's a separate trauma surgeon who covers the in-house during the night. So the nice thing is, I get to like do a 7 to 5 job as a surgeon. When I'm off.
Wow. So do you live close to the hospital?
No, the hospital's here near the airport in Roosevelt and 24th.
I know that hospital actually. We'll talk
Yes.
about that more offline, but I know that hospital very well. Yeah.
Yes. So
And then you guys live like further north, right?
live in North Scottsdale.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just take the 101, so it's all straight.
Okay. Yeah. So pretty straight shot.
Mhm.
So we do have some great news. Sammy is on the call, but he actually is working his other job. But him and his
Mhm.
girlfriend, Jenny, I don't think you've met Jenny yet.
Mhm.
They got their first arbitrage deal in Glendale.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So they're super excited. They hired me to be the apprenticeship. So they went through the 6-week program. We had that goal set date of October 21st. They nailed it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
So what a blessing. We're going to actually have a meetup.
Mhm.
Do you ever get off on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Sweet. So the second Saturday of November, we're going to have a large meetup over there. I'll let you know the time.
Okay.
I was talking to Tristan, and he said it's way better to do meetups on like the weekend. So,
Mhm. Yeah, a lot
more
of people can come in.
folks could join us. So, how's your goals coming as far as your projects?
So this is the thing we talked about before about getting a super host to kind of accelerate it. And what was interesting is the super host that I got is a young couple, and I'm very proud of them. They just like dove into real estate. They got 2 condos in Hawaii, and then multifamily here, and I think I can't remember if they also have a house that they will convert. And for someone who's like 27 years old, that's their full-time job, which is great. It's like so proud of those.
Beautiful.
But the biggest thing is when they looked at the area of my property, because it's in 85310.
Okay.
And they looked at the comps for planning the Airbnb.
Okay.
One of the concerns that they had was they said in me the calendar of all the things there, and this is the time that it should be booked because we're now going to cold season, is a
Okay.
lot of the calendars are empty.
Okay.
And when I asked the numbers that they were going to, the options that we talked about before even doing the comps was either doing a 20% for them or
Okay.
$900 a month, which is
Okay.
fine based on what the projected income would be. And the
Okay.
only bar I set for that one would be, number one, it should be higher than what it is currently earning as a long-term rental. And
Okay.
if I get enough for my ROI for furnishing it, and I was planning to spend like 10 grand, furnish the whole
Okay.
thing.
Right.
And I'm not going to expect to get the whole 10 grand in a year or anything, which
Right,
if I did manage it, it's a possibility. But doing that spread just a couple of thousands at least above with some benefit. But the problem is
Okay.
when they look at the target, the current rental price of the house is actually below market value. It's currently at 2,400 per month. It's a 4.2.5.
Yes. Yes. And that's in Glendale, correct?
Yes, in Glendale. And the projection was between 1,500 to 2,500, which was like, it was like, okay, I may have to,
That seems, I wonder, that seems awful low, Dr. Paul.
yeah.
That projection to me, like, I would make sure we know where they're getting their data and how are they getting their projections. Did they just look at one platform or did they go to 3 different platforms to get the projections? Because if you're only focused on that one AirDNA, for example, they may be skewed. So I would always go to 3 different projections and then make a decision based off that, because you and I mean, we're just doing the basic math. Like, why would you do a short-term rental if it's gonna lose what you're already getting per month, right?
And that's the thing. If more people come into the call, one consideration, because now the house is going to be vacant and I haven't heard from my realtor, is if anyone wanted to do the numbers and they think it's going to be good for an arbitrage, I am actually
like that. Yeah.
With doing that, because at the same time, for me, it's 2 things. With an arbitrage, if you make money, then I have a stable tenant, and I'm playing for the long term. And at the same time, it tests the waters of it being an Airbnb as a proof of concept, without taking all the risk up front in that aspect. So, and you know, if they are stable, if they are a stable tenant and they're making money.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead, Doc.
One less issue for me is, you know, changing tenants. It's like, yeah, just continue to make money and then we'll just make sure it's at market value. All I care is like, it's at market value, then we're good. Everyone happy. It's like, it's one less.
I love it. Because it wouldn't, the biggest thing I like what you said is proof of concept. So you do it for 1 year. You don't lock yourself in any longer because, you know, you may want to see the proof of concept is doubling or whatever, and it's working. But if it's break even or below, you know, then you're just going to do it again to them. And if they still want to do it. So that's the benefit with the lease. It's only 1 year, and then you could evaluate from that year and see what you want to. So I love it. I mean, I may even consider it. So, I mean, if you and I want to meet up and you could show it to me, or you know, I could pass it on to one of my students, just depending where I'm at and how busy I'm at, I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. The updated pictures are on Redfin, so I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So you can take a look at the property. The only big thing, Flip, right now is they're doing the other thing that made me like, I looked at the property this weekend. The other clincher was like, the timing is they're doing a construction because they're doing pipes on the ground on, I think, 43rd Avenue, or I think it's 43rd Avenue and Crossroads. So they're like widening the roads.
What's the other crossroad there?
Actually, let me see. Actually, I'll tell you the address.
Oh,
It's-
okay. I'll write it down.
It's 23620
Okay.
North 42nd Drive.
23260 North 42nd Drive.
85310.
Okay. Yeah, I'll review it and then I'll 42nd Drive, 85301.
310.
310. Okay, sweet. General vicinity though is what, 43rd Avenue, and like you're pretty far north.
Pinnacle Peak.
Okay. What
So-
year is that built?
Let me see.
Just approximate. It's not a.
I think it was 90s.
Okay, okay. No, I love that. I don't have anything out there personally, so I would have to just do my own homework and then, you know, you and I you could show, can you get into the property? You got keys and all that?
Yeah, we got keys there. There's actually a lockbox there. So, but you know, if you guys wanted to see, just let me know. We can
Okay.
always meet up.
Yeah, that'd be cool. 43rd and Pinnacle Peak. Yeah, so are you free during the week? It's hard for you though, right?
I could have my wife come in if I'm at work.
Okay.
So she's free. Weekend also works. Just let me know availability.
Do you ever get breaks on during the week to have lunch down by you? Because I do have some work I'm doing in Central Phoenix from time to time.
Oh, it depends. There's going to be days that I get a half day off. But if I'm operating until the end of the day, you know, that's the only time I get off.
How long do those operations take?
It depends. There are some, you know, it's like average probably 2-3 hours. If it's a big case, maybe longer. The other fact that I have to consider is like I'm training people.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, so the time, it's like I give extra time for them to do the procedure because I take them through the procedure so that they can learn how to do it.
So they pretty much shadow you and then.
Oh no, they don't just shadow me. They act as junior surgeons.
Oh, so they're right next to you in the OR and they're.
I let them operate, Flip.
Okay,
So,
I didn't know how that works.
Yeah, so sometimes for like people under training, if they're like in and I'm comfortable with their skill set, I don't even scrub in. So I watch them and I just like keep an eye. It's like if they are struggling, then before they get into trouble, I tell them what to do. And if they get in trouble, that's the time I have to scrub in if they are struggling, then because that's how they convert from learning to becoming comfortable when they go to the real world independently.
100%. And it's, I don't know if you knew this, but I taught fix and flip for years. And that was one of the main things I learned is it has to be visceral. So they actually have to do the work themselves in the house, really be there. If they want to learn it, hands-on is hands down the best way to learn for most students.
And I completely agree. Is even when we got the first house and then actually did renovations in this house, basically I was happy to like talk to the contractor myself, what I wanted and everything, because some people is like, oh, they want to get into real estate, but they really don't want to learn or do anything. It's like, well, it's not going to work that way.
Yeah, you have to know A to Z, not that you have to do it. You just have to learn it and understand, just the way they talk, what they offer, like do your homework. I wouldn't want to set someone up to fail by me doing it all for them, because you don't learn like that. I'm going to give you assignments, exercises, and that's really where you start learning, where you build your self-confidence.
Mhm.
So very similar. So as far as the surgery, do you specialize or any kind of trauma?
No, no, not trauma. I do emergency general surgery. So
Oh, okay.
lungs, gallbladders, hernias, appendicitis, but any a good amount, we also do cancer, colon cancer, obstruction, problems.
I'd love to have my daughter talk to you. She, I don't know what it is with these young kids though. She's very stubborn. Like I know a few other docs that, that are friends, and I don't know, like, I'm like, yeah, I have someone that you should talk to or just go meet. Like my cousin, who's a nurse practitioner in Houston, Texas, she was in town for the weekend. I told my daughter, and my daughter has always wanted to be a medical or in a physician, and she's 19 now. And I'm like, your cousin's, she's been through a lot. She works in the, she's actually in intensive care out there, but she's had a variety of jobs over the years. But like, I don't know, are they just too, like, why wouldn't she take me up on that offer? Like, go have her talk to you, because that's really how they're going to know, do we want to do it, just to kind of get some intro.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Flip, I never really wanted to become a doctor.
Oh, okay.
No, my dad's into, that's why I'm in real estate. My dad is into construction.
Oh my goodness.
And we were
Wow.
in real estate when I was young. So it's like I love large mansions, which he did the excavation. And then he did mostly industrial excavation
Ooh,
for a
okay.
construction company, as the construction company. But it's always been something I enjoyed. I was supposed to be an architect, and somehow I got lost and became a surgeon.
Yeah, I mean, life will take in certain turns, but I don't know, how do I encourage her? Just kind of, I don't know if they're stubborn nowadays, these kids, or like, because I think it would be so much value for her just to go and see if she even wants to do something like this.
The question is, if you should ask her, it's like, how do you want to see yourself at the age of 30? Because to them, that's far, right?
Yeah.
At the age of 30, it's like, how do you want to see yourself? Because, it's like, are you still the same person? What are you doing? Do you have a family? And then what type of work are you doing? Because, and then from there, that sparks the curiosity on, it's like,
yeah. I'm gonna write
what
that
do
down.
I really want to do?
Yeah.
Because we've been there, Flip. Teenage years, you get to enjoy them. And, sometimes we just like, okay, we just want to enjoy and not have, it's like sometimes a lot of the kids don't think about the future, and they have this wishful thinking that everything's just going to be fine. And
Right.
having gone through, everything that you've been through, that's not going to be happening.
Right, for sure.
And the worst thing that can happen is, you're well off, but what needs to happen is, it's not about your finances, which
True.
people get wrong.
Yes.
It's about what you impart and your kids learn. Because if they learn to stand up on their own and be their own person independently, it's like, then your finances are irrelevant. It's just another plus.
Love it. And I always guided them that way, because one of the main things, Dr. Paul, I didn't want to enable my kids. So like, I want to, especially as a young woman in America, like, so for her, she always knows that I always taught them a very simple 3-letter acronym, and it's TTR. So that means take total responsibility. So it falls on them. It's not the guy, it's not the school, it's not mom, dad. It's like, and there's consequences, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's just like that. Once you get that mindset, it's just a different perspective from everyone else. Nowadays, everyone is on the other side of that mindset. As it's like looking at two things: being a victim or a survivor.
Mm, yeah.
It's and
You
what you're
got
telling them is like you got to own it.
you got to own it. You got to step into it, like treat others with great respect. I'm very big on how we treat others. Like, so respect your teachers, your classmates, your friend. Like, that's a very important thing in life. Like, just be kind. Like, and I don't see enough kindness nowadays. Like,
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, and the world is tough as it is,
yeah,
and sometimes a little bit of kindness to someone who needs it makes a big difference to them.
it really does. And you never know who you're gonna touch by taking a few moments to be present with that person. So yeah, I pray for her, obviously. Like, I remember when I was 18, 19, I didn't want my parents to tell me anything. So, I
Yeah,
know in the back of her mind, she's listening to me.
and one other thing, Flip, is when I was 18, I actually got into a horrible accident.
Oh,
Yeah, I got into an accident. I was a new kid driving, and the funny thing is, it was not even slow compared to American standards, but it was just being impatient, and I accidentally hit a motorcycle head on.
mm,
And from there, it's like I had brain surgery and everything. My parents took care of them and everything, and it's then you start seeing it's like um in every problem that comes in your life, you always have a choice. You can't undo what's done, but you have a
yes.
choice on what your reaction is. It's like everything was perfect before. It's a question is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to be depressed? Are you going to be angry? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to correct to make you better? It's like it it was my fault. That was it. I not gonna do anything
Yeah,
else. It's like
you owned
it,
up to it. You owned up
yeah,
to it.
it was my
Yeah,
fault. Can I do anything about it? No. Was I privileged that my parents loved me and took care of the patient who had an accident? Yes. Uh, but these are all the facts of the scenario, and uh, it made me both humble, patient, and look at the long term, taking things which on how I approach stuff, because
sure.
not everything you can control, and not everything's going to be perfect, but on what you can do, if you can do it the right way, do it. And then on things you don't have control, then you don't have control. You could waste your time the whole day complaining
Yeah,
about it doing
yeah.
something.
No matter how much you rant, and it's good to vent. I know it's good to vent. Like, let's release that emotion and
Mhm.
move forward and let it go, move on, because it's the universe telling us something we need to work on. Maybe it just is what it is. It's a test. How do we, mentally, more than anything, emotionally, like, come to terms with that? So I think it's so important.
Yeah, it was like if you're depressed now after something bad happened, that's fine. If a year from now, 2 years from now, people find you in the same place after that same incident, then that's a problem.
It's a
Be-
problem because when I had recovery, when I got out of the hospital down there, Dr. Paul, I went to the friendship program. So the friendship program is sponsored by Chicanos por las Casas. I don't think they still have it, but what it was, it's a group setting, and they walked me through different modalities of how the brain works, and it was therapy. So that 6 week commitment where I had to go 3 times a week, I made that commitment. You get to graduate from that course.
Mhm.
I owned it. That's the thing. You got to own that stuff. If you
Yeah.
go with a excuse my language, if you go with a shitty attitude, guess what? You're going to be doing this in 2 years again. And I knew I had a greater calling and God wanted me with everything my loved ones went through. So I knew like I gotta make this happen. I gotta get my mental state under control.
No, definitely. It's so true. On just owning it up, and I'm just proud of, how you're raising your kids. And in any time that, they want to talk or learn about like what the medical field is, because what I tell people is like, um, if you're gonna go into a career, um, don't go to a career that you don't like. Because if you're going for it for the money, but you can't sustain it, then you're going to have a miserable day in, day out.
And it's about, yeah, it's not, our philosophy is very similar because you make a high earning, I make a high earning, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't the chasing money. I never like, and I've seen
Oh,
guys
yeah.
and they chase the mortgage, they chase this guy's, but you can't, I don't see it sustaining itself like you said.
Yeah, because you got to enjoy what you do. It's like, why do I do real estate on the side? It's like, because I enjoy real estate. Why do
Yes.
if I'm now like financially well off, will I still go to work? Yes, I will still go to work
Yeah, because
because
you enjoy
I
it.
enjoy
Maybe
it.
different forms of it, but like that's
Yes.
part of the challenge. Like I'm sure your craft, there's still levels and things you like to do in your craft and or perfect or get better, just small tweaks. I mean, that's what it's all about when we master something.
Yeah, it's like seeing a patient go home when they come through the emergency room, and like let's say they have a problem and no one can help them, and then you help them, you operate on them, just seeing their faces. I've had grandmothers who had their stomachs twisted up. You
Man,
give them, and then now they can start eating
you,
again.
that's, my daughter has always had stomach issues, so she has thought about becoming a stomach doctor. I don't know what she called it, but
A gastroenterologist.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So again, just even you're talking to her and for me, I know at that age I probably wouldn't have been interested in talking to you because like you said, they probably see us so far away, but it's actually sooner than they're gonna think. So
And the funny thing is just, I think my personality is just different. I'm highly adaptive because, as I mentioned, I was supposed to become an architect.
yeah.
And
Where did you grow up?
everything back in the Philippines until I had to undergo training here.
Oh, okay.
And, I said architect would be great because I have my dad as an engineer, and he has all this connections and stuff. That would be perfect. But I was given two choices about schools. The school I got into, let's say it's UCL, let's compare it to UCLA versus Harvard.
Okay.
And of course, I wanted to go to Harvard.
Right.
And in that aspect, I didn't get to architecture in that school. And I got into UCLA architecture, and they gave me a different course, which was physical therapy.
Ah.
And I had a brilliant idea. I was like, well, I'm gonna go to Harvard and then shift to architecture within there. At least I'm in Harvard.
Okay.
I had 200 more people who were more talented than me who had that same thought. And now I was stuck doing physical therapy, which wasn't something I appreciated or liked. And I just says like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And my friend says like, okay, we're gonna study for med school. It's like, oh, perfect. If I do med school, number one, my parents will be proud. They're gonna have a doctor. Number two, I would actually delay it for another 4 years and actually just focus on studying. And at the end, I would still, you'd still be well off.
Right.
And when I did that one, it's like, I thought it was like, okay, I'm going to be the boss and everything. Afterwards, like, completely wrong idea. You're going to work your ass off more than everyone else, becoming a doctor, becoming a surgeon. It's like, I've worked my ass off than any other person in the hospital until you get to that point. And even at that point, you just get used to working, because people think it's like, oh, he's a doctor and everything, you show up with a nice car and everything, that everything's just like a breeze. But to that point, that's why for most of the people I tell, if you're not interested, don't even bother, because I'm just really a driven person. It's like I start something, it's like, well, I gotta suck it up. My mom's kicking me out of the house. I gotta do this and
Right,
finish it all the way. Gotta
Yeah.
grow up.
So were you always self-motivated, or was it from the trauma when you were 18 that really elevated your thinking?
I think the self-motivation I learned when my mom used to call me. I was like, oh, you're really smart. And then I was gonna apply into a prestigious high school and I failed. That's
Ah,
when I learned, it's like, well, I guess my mom was wrong. It's like you start realizing stuff. And then from there, I start figuring out that it doesn't matter on what you have, it's how much effort you exert.
ooh,
You,
I like
you
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, most of the people, there's like, oh, he's very talented and everything. I was like, I could not care, because if you don't put the work with whatever you have, whether you have
yeah.
talent or don't have talent, it's more about the work you put in, and it has.
Oh man, you're gonna love one of my favorite quotes by Calvin Coolidge. It's, you could have the highly educated, but if they're not actually putting the work in, they're basically, they're a derelict, basically, is what he said.
Yes,
So I have that. That's one of my very favorite quotes, because I'm the one that's always gonna dig in and just whatever it takes. I'm gonna put 100. They say 100. I always do the extra credit. I always get 110. Like I'm not that smart, but I know I could outwork. I could work hard. That's all for me, that's what I got.
and I'm gonna show you the books I have. I am a slow reader. I've
I
never
don't
read.
read anymore. I do YouTube videos. I do it all
It's
on
like,
YouTube.
I'm a slow reader, and I ended up reading. Could you see the books there, Flip?
Yes, yes.
So I had to compensate, because like, well, I got to put more R's because I'm a slow reader to understand it.
Nice.
And would I complain like other people are doing faster? It's like, well, you got to just put the work in. You can't keep on complaining that other people are better than you.
Yeah, and I hate that it's natural to compare, but you got to realize at the end of the day, I'm competing against myself. I don't
That's
want to do it. I don't want to do it for everyone else. I want to do it like my
exactly
own. Like,
that's the most important thing. The only person that you're really competing is yourself.
yeah, and that's it. So, but it's hard to when you're in the world, like everything is coming at you. So that's where you get caught in that trap of like, that it is a trap. And so
It is,
it's
because it puts so much pressure on you that you start not acting objectively on what you should be doing, but rather than focusing on the wrong things, instead of like, you're thinking that it's a sprint, but it's really a marathon.
yeah.
That's the thing.
And I do, once my platform gets large, and I'm starting to put it out there a little bit with the mental health, but that's a giant thing as far as being a young, driven entrepreneur. You could have the money, you could have the great marriage, you could have your physical health, you could have, family love, but if you don't have your mental, like it's you got
Oh
to
yeah.
take care of yourself, and that's missing. Like a lot of people aren't talking about that, and I'm just a strong proponent of mental health and like sharing that with other people, especially the people I work with in the course. We do do regular check-ins, mental, physical, business. I think it's so important.
Completely agree. I think the most, if you don't have the mental stability, everything else just breaks down. When
Yes.
you're mentally weak, everything else just breaks down. Your health, your finances, your family, and everything. Because at that core, if you get your mental health stable, then you can start withstanding all the stress to actually fix it and
Yeah.
grow.
So again, Dr. Paul, let me ask you this, because you're a high level guy. How do you, I'm gonna relate it to exercise because my daughter is now a fitness competitor, bikini girl, and she's very driven. But my thing with her is like rest and recovery, Kayla, rest and recovery, because I know mentally you can only go so long sprinting. You
Mhm.
got to rest and recover. So how do you rest and recover? Because your days are extremely, and you're teaching, you're doing your own patients. How do you do your rest and recovery now after like
Um,
all these?
so honestly, I've
goals?
actually just gone back to getting back on my health. I enrolled in Orange Theory.
Okay, okay.
So-
I have mixed thoughts about Orange Theory, but
But
we can talk more about that.
I'm pretty much I'm happy with
Okay.
what I do. And the difference is before, um, number one, with regards to maintaining a rest and recovery, I've talked to a lot of people who have their injuries. They're athletes.
Mhm.
It's like, now they're having their knees repaired and everything.
Right, right.
And
Because remember, it's not a sprint. It's a
yes,
long journey of life. So at 85, are we gonna be like aching and like, so you've talked to these people that were former high level, like running to the finish line is hard and fast without that. And what were they telling you?
and what you notice is everything has a price. If you, it's like you're not built, uh, y- to do stuff physically, physiologically. Perfect
Yes,
example for this one is Ronnie Coleman,
I've seen it.
bodybuilder.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman's like,
The body is not what, no matter, I mean, we could all take drugs and steroids, and I've tried that in college, but I know they work, Dr. Paul, but like long term, look at the surgeries, like the body's not built to 800 pounds. We're not built that way. Like,
yes, and same thing with players in the NBA.
but what's the price? What's the risk to reward? They're willing to take the short term money, the short term fame, and then die at like 50. I mean, most of them, unfortunately.
It's very true, and at the same time, look at him. It's like he was very strong, like really strong bodybuilder, but like he's walking in crutches now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the only thing I would tell you, Dr. Paul, physically with Orange Theory, I've trained in all different physical
Mhm.
activities, and I've done Bikram yoga to
Mhm.
Orange Theory to Pilates to bodybuilding. I am now at my age in the best shape of my life, and Orange Theory, you are a competitor. I know you're competitive with yourself. So
Mhm.
problem with that is you push yourself, and then it's the music starts bumping and you're pushing to, you could get injured in Orange
Exactly,
Theory.
very true. And,
It's not a long-term answer. It's
yeah.
not, because now my body, after I quit Orange Theory, my body, everything feels so much better. So just, that was be a caveat.
This is actually the caveat. As I grew older, when I was young, I was very competitive for like physical fitness.
Okay.
My ego would be affected. Oh, I need more weights here and
Right,
everything.
right. Ego lifting and shit.
Oh
Yep,
yeah, it's like if I could talk to myself, it's like you're really stupid at that
for
age.
sure. But as
Um,
a kid, you don't know. It's just the ego taking over.
yes, but I've outgrown that. I'm actually the slowest person with all the oldest.
Really? I
With
wouldn't
all,
even think that about you.
and this is the thing, with all the oldest people kicking my ass in Orange Theory. It's like I work out with like 70, 80 years old people in Orange Theory. And the nice thing is like I do what I do, and I like just enough that I don't get injured.
Love it. So there's an end goal. Like I see where you're headed. Like, so it's the long process, but you don't want to like stop that process, because if you get injured, you're out for a year or six.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the big thing that
You have to control it. And the only person that, again, as you're competing to, is just yourself.
yes.
It's like, are they doing better than you? It's like, I don't care if
Right.
they're if this old lady's beating my ass. It's like, good for her. And you know what that tells me? If I do this right, eventually I will get better.
And the form, like I see
Yes.
a lot of these young teenage boys, like, I'm like, dude, if you would just, even with my, like, so I've trained both my kids in lifting, and proper technique, because technique and your body alignment, it just, everything stabilized. So they know it's not about the weights. It's like, let's get the
Yes.
form. And
I know. I wish I learned. I wish I really paid attention and stopped. Did not do ego lifting when I was young.
yeah,
Because it's something that's sustainable if you do it right, and if you
Yep.
keep it as like, nothing that you just like every time you work out, if you just like burn out and don't enjoy it, it's not something that's going to be
it's not sustainable. And
sustainable.
again, that's why as a young girl, she's, like I said, 19, she's starting like, oh dad, I'm sick again today. Well, Kayla, I'm not gonna tell her, but she knows, like, what are we gonna do about that for the future? Are you gonna, how many days are you working out? How many days should you rest? So she knows, and she's like, Dad, yeah, I'm gonna go 3 days on, 1 day off, and rest in between. I'm like, perfect.
And I've worked with some people who were into bodybuilding, and they were also surgeons. And
Okay.
it was a female surgeon, and like when we're working together, it's like, yeah, I need to take another pain pill because my body's aching.
Yeah, no, that's why I do. One of my best friend, actually, he owns a gym. I should take you down there. He's a boxer, so him and I have like 30 years. We met in college, and he's finally living his passion. He comes from a lot of money, and his dad owned this business, but the last 5 years he started teaching boxing, and he teaches these kids down at Brophy High School, because he's in Central Phoenix. These are kids with parents that are millionaire, a lot of money, but they have no self-esteem. So it's so cool to see through,
that's pretty
sport
nice.
and building confidence. But one of the things I saw him on Instagram the other day, he does a lot of body weight stuff now, and I do. And then I do Pilates like once a week. I take my mom. It's that exercise, because I don't want to be that person that needs a pain pill, or like, I want to be able to like do a full day of work and fun, and not be like sore to move my neck or shit.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. That as we evolve, we either stay the same, like you said, and be comfortable, or we do something that's new and learning and growing. And so you got to adapt, I feel, especially as we age as people. Like, our bodies are changing. Like, there's different stages.
And that's why I actually love those exercises, because I used to skip leg day.
Gotcha. You're one of those dudes.
Yeah, one of those dudes. And then, when you're doing chest, biceps, and shoulders, it's like, I don't need those as I age.
Right.
I need, like, number one, my balance, when I'm doing leg exercise, my balance is not good. So it's working for me. The fact that
what you're working on, or what you want to work on. So everyone's different too. You may want to work on balance that day, or like I noticed through Pilates, Dr. Paul, core stability. Like, I never had that, because I never worked core. I'm like, I don't need it. Like, but
that's a great exercise for core stability. Pilates is like,
oh, it's phenomenal.
Will get you ripped.
It's about the little muscles that we typically won't work when we're ego lifting, like bench.
Yes. I know.
But
it's like, it's non-functional. It's like, okay, your chest looks nice, but where's the function on this one? You really don't need to lift that much weights.
You don't, and you can barely wipe your own butt. Like, I know I know one guy who does like strongman, and he looks like that, but then it's just that flexibility and mobility. But
it's very true. I've seen videos of people who, someone put a sticker in their butt back, and they couldn't even reach it, which was like very funny.
Man, everyone has a choice. But so mentally, you got your Orange Theory? Are you doing some stuff for yourself to like take time on you? Because I mean, it sounds like you got a lot going on.
Yes. So my type of work, my schedule is actually pretty good. Even if I got a week on call, our schedule is like, it's like a seven, it's not even a 7 to 5. It's like, um, it's whatever time I finish. So if I finish by 12, I finish by 2, it's like I'm out of here. So I
Oh,
got
gotcha.
good amount of time for my family, and that's why I love working in this hospital because of that. Because I could either work in a busier place and make a lot more money, but then I'd be working until I'm, 60, 80 and everything. It's like,
Yeah, like, what's it about? Why are you gonna spend your
and,
whole day like, I don't know.
and I get to have enough time to learn from a lot of people like you from PACE and everything. Because I think of those as the money I'm not earning by doing the other stuff, I actually will eventually balance off by investing on
It's
myself.
going to. You're investing in your mindset. You're
Yes.
learning the game of real estate like this. To do it right, it's going to take that foundation and then some
Mhm.
action. Of course, you're already doing action steps, but like I'm excited to see what happens in the next year or two. Because again, let's look at a 2 year or 3 year plan versus a 6 month to 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. And it's initially I had the pressure of like, okay, I need to buy the house. I was like, I need to buy the right house. I think that's the most
That's the
important thing.
big thing. And that's why I teach all my students. I'm like, I could go find you a house tomorrow, but by me doing it, it's not going to teach you anything, first of all. But by finding a house, that's not what we're shooting for. We want the right house to get the momentum, because if you get the wrong house, then you start getting bad, attitude. You're like, oh, negativity sets in. If you get something that is good from the get go, you're like building the confidence. So,
Yeah. And it's learning to say no, because I got all this people from wholesalers and stuff. It's like,
yes.
especially now with like the numbers, it's like you gotta really do your numbers right, because with so many moving parts on where we are, it's like if you don't do your numbers right, you're gonna pay for it, and it's not gonna be a good experience, and it would leave a sour taste in your mouth.
100%. Well, I'm going to do my numbers on this property out there in Glendale. I'll reach out to you. We'll kind of. I'm probably going to be swamped this weekend, but I'm thinking if you got a day off next week, we could meet up at that house and have coffee or iced tea or
Yeah,
whatever you like to drink.
yeah. Let me know. Let me know.
Let me get your cell number here, so I'll make
Oh
sure I
yes.
save it. I know Elena couldn't make it. She's out in. Where did she go? She, I know she's going to end up in Jerusalem, Israel. One
Oh.
of, one of the students in the course. She's usually on here. I know she said she had talked to you.
Yeah. No, we had coffee. We met up and then, clarified some of her plans and stuff, in which she says like, okay, I now know what I want to do. I'm just going to focus on condos, because you really wants to go to midterm
Okay.
to get with a nursing biz for travelers,
Uh-huh.
which I think if you really put your thing into that one and establish yourself, it's a changing market. It's a constant market, but the people are changing every time. So
100%. Yeah.
so you just have to start dominating, because it's a free market for all, because it's not something that's like 100% established, and it's
Yes.
not going to go away anytime soon. And from there, it's going to be something that's stable when you have like a good amount of pay for longer amount of period.
Yeah. And my thing is like, the hard thing about people that are on, I want to say it's a mindset thing, and I talk to her all the time about this. Like she's gonna do it at her time, we know, but when you have another partner, significant other, sometimes it's easier when you're the only one making those decisions, right? Like, so that it's just a different
Yeah.
challenge, I guess,
It-
that we
i-
encounter
i-
when
if
we're,
if you're not in the same mindset, it's going to be a difficult situation for you.
yes, yeah. So we'll see. But I think the key is stepping into it, whether like you are stepping into it. So say you did your homework. Now, I don't think, turning this into a short-term works for me, but I could learn a lot by turning it into an arbitrage because I could see the process intimately. And I feel like you're getting your feet wet. You're
Mhm.
stepping into the water basically. So whatever
Mhm.
you do as a student, I feel do your homework, do your research, but you can't wait and you can't always say when the market changes, because I've seen people over the years, Dr. Paul, especially the analytics,
Oh, yeah.
those mindset, like they're not doing anything still.
The people who told me it's like I'm gonna wait for the market to crash back 2 years ago. The market has now crashed, and you still can't buy a
Oh
house.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's so true. One of my good buddies, and it's just him. We've been college buddies since 18 and love him to death, but he wants to do Siesta Keys, Florida. It's a very nice beach community. His dad lives out there now. And so he's like seeing my Instagram and he's like, yeah, let's get one in Siesta Keys. This was about a year ago. He starts hitting me up and I'm like, all right, let's do it. He's like, it's too high. The market's too high right now. So let's wait. And then the other day, he basically said, oh, I think we're in for a recession. Let's wait again. I'm like, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
What? Like, you were just telling me last year.
Unless you're really buying something full cash, now the terms are against you.
Right.
And it's just really understanding that you have to take the effort to look for the right deal. And then when you
Yes.
find something, don't overthink it. It's a yes or no question.
Yes. Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah, don't overthink it. I love that. Keep it simple. I'm not that smart, but that's one of the things. I don't overthink things. If I see it, I like it. I hopefully now do all my homework and research and then I pull the trigger. But like I'm not backing down. I'm not like
Yeah.
headed. I'm full throttle. So
That's how I got my job. When the director asked me, it's like, what do you say if I give you the job? I say yes. That was like that quick. It's like we don't screw around.
and I'm telling you, if you have that yes attitude, notice how your day goes, man. It's like you're not making excuses anymore to yourself. You're like, and again, I know there's a difference between learning to say no, but there's some things that you just got to say yes to because that's where your energy goes, is where it creates opportunity.
And just to share this with you, Flip, when I got back to working out, I wake up at 4:25 every morning because the 5 o'clock class goes to 6 and I get to work at 7. So it's like, even though it's like you wake up at like 4:25, it's like, yes, but I'm actually happier waking up because I feel better now that I've exercised.
You're working on yourself, and again, it releases the chemicals in the brain, like, and your day is much better. I'm sure when you're breathing, you're feeling good about yourself. I couldn't do without physical activity. So, like, great talk today, Dr. Paul. Did you give me?
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
602
602
885
885
7214.
7214. Okay, I'll hit you up probably on Monday, and then we can figure out what next week looks like and check out the place. But is it all clean and moved out of, or?
Yes, everything's clean. Our last tenant had OCD, so she was like basically cleaned everything to spec.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, again, this situation, we could think creatively, because whether it's myself or me and one of the students, I think it's a great opportunity for win-win for you, for me, for the students, if it fits what we all want to do. But definitely to start the dialogue would be super.
Yeah. And then the pictures are, the updated one are gonna be in the Redfin, because Zillow has like the old pictures before the reno. So the
Okay,
Redfin has the newer pictures.
okay, is that time frame gonna be okay for you? Because I don't want to hold you down, hold you back or anything. As far as
No, it's totally fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sweet. All right, well, have a good afternoon, good
You too,
chat.
sir.
All right, see you
Have a
soon.
wonderful day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.